Oh, Lord. Hey, y'all. It's your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. I am still hoarse, but I had to bring you guys this news. So come on in. Let us know where you're viewing from. Let me try to clear my throat one more time. Child, I don't know if it's the pollen or what, but I'm over here struggling. And listen, today we are going to cover the former owner of the Turkey Leg Hut, which is Lynn Price, Lindell Price, and the story of how did he get found out? This story and this situation has been lingering in the Houston area for years. So to start off, the Turkey Leg Hut was a well-known restaurant here in Houston that was literally known for making the most delicious turkey legs. And as a result, it had garnered national acclaim. They would have pop-up restaurants in various places. The owner, whose name, the co-owners, husband and wife, which were Kia and um, her husband is Lynn. Lynn was recently arrested. Now, Lynn is not new to the prison system, okay? Lynn has been in and out of jail throughout his life, prison. Most recently, within the last 10 years, he went away for scamming. He was running this kind of tax return, identity theft kind of situation that he had done for years and done some time in the feds for that. Well, we're here today because in 2020, he was in the middle of a dispute with another guy named Steve Rogers, who owned Bar 5015. Thank you guys for saying you're hoping I'm feeling better. Me too. He was in a dispute with basically a bar owner across the street. That owner, not only does he own bars, but he also consults. And he went in the partnership to create the Turkey Leg Hut. Then there was a dispute. He had a falling out with Lynn, pulled out, and he sued them for what he was entitled to from the business contract. They had a written contract. Well, in 2020, during the midst of this dispute, the bar owner's bar just randomly in the middle of the night blew up. And it wasn't random. It was no accident. There's video footage of three gentlemen coming on those premises, pouring gasoline all over the property and lighting it on fire. So there was footage that happened June 20th of 2022. I'm sorry, of 2020, June 20th. Now, so for the last 5 years, everyone suspected that it was either Lynn who did it or that the owner may have done it himself. This was during the pandemic. Perhaps he did it himself for the insurance money. Now, I knew he didn't do it for the insurance money because he had just finished like a $1.1 million renovation. If you know anything about insurance fraud, people commit the insurance fraud to get money to do renovations. You don't renovate first and then commit the fraud. It literally defeats the purpose. So we knew that wasn't the case, but nonetheless, people were like, well, what's taking so long? In a prior video, I played that video footage clip. In the clip, there was a tall gentleman that looked like it could be Lynn, but I'm here to say it was not Lynn. It was not Lynn. We've got the indictment. I'm going to read from that today. Today, there was a bail hearing in the case. The judge is still trying to decide whether or not she wants to grant him bail. Now, I'll say this. The charge here is arson. It's arson, and then it's also arson with respect to interstate commerce. People who are charged with some murders, manslaughter, things like that, they get bail. So it seems like there should be a bail. It's just a matter of how much is it going to be. Now, on Monday, the feds rolled up to his house, to Lynn's house, and they were toting all kind of goodies up out of there, as in vehicles. Let me see if I got that footage. Here we go. So Lynn is also known for being friends with Rick Ross and Kevin Hart, and he annually would go to the Kevin Hart car show. So this is Lynn's house. This was the feds taking away some of his trucks, bikes, multiple vehicles. Look at the old school. He is known for his cars. Well, the feds seize those. We're going to play it again for you. The feds seize those. So as of today, no bond has been ordered yet. The judge decided she's going to think about it for a little bit. because y'all, let me tell you what they said. He's currently under indictment for arson, but they raised accusations in court today of him selling drugs and other crimes that he's currently under investigation by the State Department, like the Texas Department of Public Safety, whether it's for moving illegal drugs, perhaps through the restaurant, or illegal cars. All of those things are under suspicion. So while he has not been charged with any of that, a judge can take that into consideration when she's setting the bond. So these cars were seized. These were not seized for bond. I was trying to understand, like, wait, it's arson. Why are the feds seizing? But we'll get to that. So this is a video of that. Again, so this video is all about us talking about who do we think snitched. And here's why we believe it was a snitching situation with respect to how Lynn finally got indicted for arson. This happened 5 years ago, y'all. He was just indicted April 25th. The statute of limitations on this is 5 years, which meant it happened June 20th of 2020. That means the statute of limitations would have expired June 20th, 2025. Literally, he's about 6 weeks away from getting away with it for life. For life. Now, we're going to start with the indictment. This is what he is accused of. All right, so it's 3 counts. It's him, somebody named Armani, and then there's a third person whose name is blacked out. When the name is blacked out, that means it was a snitch. It means it's a snitch or a witness that they don't want to make public, right? But we all know who the third person's name is because the feds, when they made the press release, let me do that. See if I can get it pop up. When the feds made the press release on this, they named all 3. The third person is John Price, his cousin. So it's Lynn Price, his cousin John Price, which is blacked out, and Armani Williams. So it's alleged John Price is the snitch that told on him, which is how he ultimately got snapped up and arrested just 6 weeks before the statute of limitations would have run, which would have allowed him to get away with this for life. So I want to hear your thoughts on whether or not you're a snitch. The snitch is alleged. But our first fact on how he might be a snitch is, number 1, this is the indictment. Now, this indictment, if you look at the date it was originally done, the original indictment, it was from, here we go. Let me see, the original, the times are over this. Let me see if I can go to the last page. This was last fall. So it was like, I want to say it was like November of 2020. But what happens with an indictment is this. This actually, let me clarify. This is what was presented to the grand jury. The grand jury was also given other evidence, and they used that to decide whether to indict. At the time, this was blacked out because this person was a secret witness. So starting from the front, from the beginning, all right. So the allegation is that they did knowingly and willingly conspire and agree together with each other and others unknown to the grand jury to maliciously damage and destroy and attempt to damage and destroy by means of fire a building used in interstate commerce and activities affecting interstate commerce, to wit Barre 5015. If you ever come to Houston, definitely check it out. And which is a bar and restaurant literally located on the street 5015 Alameda Road, which if you look at it on the map is across the street from from Turkey Leg Hut, across the street in a block. And it says here's what they did. It says, on or about June 11th, 2020, Lynn Price entered into an agreement with at least one named co-conspirator to provide payment to a crew tasked with setting fire to Bar 5015. In the early morning hours of June 12th, Armani John Price, and it looks like there's another person that's blacked out. So there appears to be more than one aka snitch, and an unarmed co-conspirator purchased gasoline, gas cans, and face coverings at a truck stop in Houston, Texas. In the morning hours of June 12th, Armani Williams and an unarmed co-conspirator drove to Bar 5015's location in a black Ford Fusion. In the early morning hours of June 12th, so let me correct myself, it wasn't June 20th, it was June 12th, which means it was even closer to running out of time. But June 12th of 2025 is when he would have been able to get away with it if he had not been indicted by June 12th, 2025. It says in the early morning hours, apparently Lindell, Armani, and someone else, or the two people in black, the snitches, and Armani, and an unnamed co-conspirator entered into the deck area of Bar 5015 and poured gasoline across the deck area as well as down the entrance ramp. They want to make sure they got it all good and juicy before they light that bitch on fire. Good and juicy. Then it says at approximately 4:44 in the morning. Oh my God, that's my lucky number. 4:44, that's my lucky number. That's actually the time I was born. I was born January 4th at 4:44 in the morning. Ooh. On June 12th, it says 4:44 a.m., June 12th, these guys and an unnamed co-conspirator lit a piece of paper and ignited a trail of gasoline that they poured down the entrance ramp. They said, we want to light that bitch on fire. You can't even get up in here. They did the whole ramp. And then it said at 4:47 a.m. on that same day, Lynn Price, former owner of the turkey leg hut, it's only former because it's bankrupt, received a phone call from at least one co-conspirator advising him that the arson was complete. Then June 12th, Lindell provided his co-conspirators with payment for setting fire. I want to know how he paid them. Was it Cash App? Was it Venmo? I would hope it was cash. And I would hope, these career criminals, he wouldn't Cash App nobody. I'd hope he already had that cash like in a safe or something in his house. And he just pulled it out the safe and then, toted it on over there. But so that is the indictment. That's the allegation. Now, we're going to get to the T. So the question becomes, how do we know or allege who the snitch is? Now, number one, I believe it's this gentleman, John Price, his cousin, because number one, he's blacked out on this. But more importantly, child. So here's the T. John Price, we're going to put his little documents up here. Which one do we go first? John Price, this is him. He was charged 2 years prior in 2023 for trafficking drugs through Mississippi. See, John Lee Price, his cousin, is from Mississippi. He was charged November 21st of 2023 with trafficking 12,000 grams of drugs. The drugs include, fentanyl and other drugs. Let me tell you something. 12,000 grams of fentanyl. That gentleman was facing life in prison. Life. He was facing a minimum of 10 years and up to life for trafficking these drugs. In America, trafficking 1 gram of fentanyl will get you 5 years. 1 gram is 5 years. So imagine if you got 12,000 of them grams, baby, you're going up under the jail. And he's not new to this. He's not new to the criminal system, right? So here's the criminal complaint that Mr. Price was facing. It's alleged, but I want to know, what do you think in the chat? Do you think he may have been there? And obviously, there certainly could be more than one, but I believe he was the ringleader. They got to talking. They got to talking and got everything moving and shaking up in here. Okay, hold on, y'all. Here go the drugs. Look at that. That's the fentanyl and all that. I mean, he was doing it. Hold on. And switch it is. So here's what it says Mr. Boyd was doing. Johnny Boyd. Johnny Boyd says, on or about November 21st, 2023, in Harrison County, the Southern District of Mississippi, the defendant, John Lee Price and Ahmed Kareem Barre, aided and abetted others, known and unknown to the grand jury, and did knowingly and intentionally possess with intent to distribute 500 grams or more of a mixture of a substance known as methamphetamine Schedule 2. As Adderall, y'all. I take that. I know what that is. It's Schedule 2. I got a prescription now. So they had about 500 grams. Apparently, it was of what was supposed to be like Adderall. And then it was the other count. Count one. I don't want to skip that. Let me start at the beginning. Count one was 400 grams of a fentanyl mixture. Count two is 500 grams of a meth mixture, methamphetamines. And then count three, it says John Lee Price and Kareem Barre did travel in interstate commerce from the state of Alabama to the Southern District of Mississippi with intent to promote, manage, establish, carry on, and facilitate the promotion, management, establishment, and carrying on of unlawful activity, being a business enterprise involving the distribution of a controlled substance, that is, transporting fentanyl and methamphetamine, and thereafter did perform acts and attempt to perform acts to promote, manage, establish, carry, and facilitate the promotion. All right, so then this goes into blah, blah, blah. Check this out, y'all. This is the notice of maximum penalties. This is what he was facing. For count one, possession with intent to distribute fentanyl for the amount he had, not less than 10 years, not more than life. And at least 5 years supervised release, $100 special assessment, nobody cares. You see that? Not less than 10 years, not more than life. For count two, which is the methamphetamine, not less than 10 years, not more than life. And count three, interstate travel in aid of unlawful activity, not more than 5 years. So max 5 years there. All right. Now, so what we're talking about is how is it that Lynn Price finally got arrested? How did he finally get caught? It was known within the community that he was the one that lit that bar on fire. He was 6 weeks from the statute of limitations expiring and getting away with it scot-free. But somebody told it. And we are breaking down who. His cousin, good old Johnny Boy, allegedly was one such snitch. Now, how do we know? These are the drugs that were allegedly, this is an actual photo of the drugs that were allegedly taken from Johnny Boy's truck and trailer, y'all. Here we go. Get into them. Now, here's how they got them. This is the affidavit. Y'all know I come with receipts. There's allegations. We're going to get the allegations. We're going to get the receipts. Also, y'all stay in touch. Down below, if you want to get my book, which is on background checks, you can click the link below right there on YouTube. You can also, you can schedule a consultation with me. You can buy the gift card below. That's for a 30-minute consultation on the topic of your choice. I do consultations nationally. Feel free to do that there. Going back to the business at hand. Here is the affidavit that was used to indict and later arrest his cousin Johnny Boy, who assisted and did the do in Texas of blowing up Bar 5015. This affidavit says, I am a task force officer with the U.S. Department of the Drug Enforcement Administration. I've been a deputy, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Let's go below. Probable cause, factual basis. On Tuesday, November 21st, 2023, at approximately 1:22 in the morning, the Sheriff's Office Sergeant Sexton initiated a traffic stop on a 2017 Ford pickup bearing Texas license PVS 4039. I don't know. I wonder who that belonged to, because this man lives in Mississippi, apparently. It said it was a truck with a horse trailer in tow on Interstate I-10 near the 40-mile marker in Biloxi, Mississippi. The traffic stop was a result of observations by Sergeant Sexton, where the vehicle was observed driving carelessly by weaving within its lane and striking the lane divider on multiple occasions. Sergeant Sexton subsequently made contact with the occupants and identified the driver as John Lee Price III and the front seat passenger. And the front seat passenger is Ahmaud Barre. While explaining the reason for the traffic stop, Sergeant noticed a heightened level of nervousness amongst the occupants, evident by uncontrollable shaking of their hands as they produced their driver's license and heavy breathing. Sergeant Sexton then engaged Price in conversation about his current travels, where he claimed to have traveled from up north, delivering horses. I was up north, master, delivering them horses. It says, while at the passenger side window, Sergeant Sexton smelled an odor of marijuana emitting from the vehicle and instructed the occupants to exit the vehicle. Let me tell you something. I do not believe that good, proficient drug dealers smoke ganja as they're driving, because we all know that cops use that as pretense to search a car that they otherwise would not have consent to. So being the big bag drug dealer that I believe John Price previously has been in his career pursuant to his record, I don't believe that they smelled ganja. I think he just went and searched the car. Now, then it says, Sergeant Sexton then asked about the odor of marijuana, which both denying any knowledge of drugs being in the vehicle. Due to Price's implausible travel itinerary, coupled with their heightened level of nervousness and the smell of marijuana, Sergeant Sexton suspected that criminal activity was afoot. That's the language you got to use to be able to search somebody's car. And then call the dogs on them. So it says, more specifically, drug trafficking was what he believed, leading him to request a certified narcotic, what do they call it? To request a certified narcotic detecting canine to conclude an open air sniff of the vehicle. A subsequent open air sniff of the vehicle was conducted that resulted in a positive response for the presence of controlled substances. A search of the vehicle and the trailer ensured that a search of the living quarters of the trailer yielded a black duffel bag containing 8 large plastic bags, each containing multiple individual plastic bags containing numerous round orange pills and round blue pills. The markings on the pills suggested that the pills were Adderall and oxycodone. Based on training and experience, agents suspected the pills to be fake pills, and the appearance, branding, and inconsistency in sizing and weight suggest they were not commercially manufactured and lightly pressed illegally and clandestinely. That doesn't help, by the way. You still get charged with trafficking, even if it's fake drugs. It says current trends and recent seizure of similar pills have identified that these types of brands of fake pills are known to contain fentanyl. Agents also located bulk currency, estimated to be approximately $15,000 to $20,000, within the cab of the truck and in their personal luggage. Now, peep this. Based on the findings, Price and Barre were transported to the sheriff's narcotics office, where Price was advised of his rights per Miranda, like Miranda warnings, which he acknowledged and waived, agreeing to questioning. Let me say it again. He waived his rights and agreed to yap. It says, in a subsequent interview, Price denied any knowledge of the pills, but related that Barre would take responsibility for possession of any pills. Barre requested an attorney and was not interviewed. In other words, wasn't nobody singing but Johnny Boy. Hit that like button, y'all. We are talking about Lynn Price, former owner of the Turkey Leg Hut, how it was that after 5 years and almost getting away with blowing up Turkey Leg Hut, how he got caught. It appears that his co-conspirator, ghetto Johnny Boy Price, was caught with drugs taken into custody, read his Miranda. And when they asked me if he wanted to talk, he agreed to an interview. And in the interview, let's say it again, Price denied knowledge of the pills, but related that Barre was the guy with them, Ahmaud Barre would take responsibility for the possession of any pills, and Barre requested an attorney and was not interviewed. Check this. It says, in all, agents recovered approximately 30,000 to 50,000 pills suspected to have been clandestinely manufactured with fentanyl. The total package weight of the pills was approximately 12,019 grams. 12,000 grams. For 1 gram, you get 5 years in prison. 12,000 grams is a life sentence pursuant to the federal guidelines. It is a minimum of 10 years, but up to life. And if for 1 gram of fentanyl, you get 5 years, what you think you're getting for 12,000 of them suckers? It says a preliminary field test was conducted on the pills, resulting in a presumptive positive reaction for the presence of fentanyl. Conclusion. He says, based on my experience as a DEA officer and the facts listed above, John Lee Price and Ahmaud Barre, it is determined there is sufficient probable cause to believe Price and Barre violated the law in the Southern District of Mississippi by possessing with the intent to distribute a mixture of a substance containing in excess of 500 grams of fentanyl. Okay. So, they like Johnny Boy was singing like a canary. How you gonna go in there and say, I'm gonna talk and I'm gonna tell you that other boy is this other boy's drugs and he's gonna take responsibility? And that other boy got in there and said, I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer. Even if it was the other boy's lawyer, you get a lawyer first. I mean, the other boy's drugs. You get a lawyer first and you let your lawyer do your bargaining for you, silly boy. But I want to put this back up there again. Notice the max penalty. He had 3 counts. A court could stack these or run concurrently. Minimum 10 years, up to life in prison. Again, is what he was facing. This is what them. Wait, I was trying to get the picture of them drugs. Where's the drug picture? Oh, wait, here we go. These were the drugs. And remember, that's what he was facing. Y'all. Again, it says clear as day on the screen. He's facing up to life in prison. Do you know this man got less than 5 years? Johnny Boy got less than 5 years. And they sealed his sentence. What happened is he got a plea deal. Johnny Boy's plea deal knocked out the first 2 counts. So the counts where he was facing life in prison, gone. They gone. He got a plea deal. They got rid of the life in prison charges. Those are gone. And he's only facing the interstate travel in aid of unlawful activity, which was count 3. Don't nobody care about count 3. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Put that one back up. No one cares about count 3. Has the least of his worries. Let me see if we put it up there. Here you go. And then that was the least. Here we go. And then here's the docket for Johnny Boy's case. Here's what's interesting. All his little stuff that happened in here. His plea agreement was entered into in January of this year. And then look at the interesting date order for presentment and investigation, blah, 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 blah. Basically, the hearing, so he did the plea agreement, and then the hearing where he went in and the judge said, okay, this is your sentence. That was literally 4/25/2025, the exact same day. That sentencing day was the exact same day that Lynn Price was arrested. Boom, boom, same day. Same day. That was not a coincidence. It was not a coinkydink that he gets the sentence on the same day that Lynn is arrested. Little coinky-dinky, little dink-dink. Y'all tell me what you think in the chat. I'm not saying he's the only snitch. I am saying if it looks like a snitch and sounds like a snitch, it might be snitching. So then, so then I went on the Tiki-Taki. I went over to the Ticker Talker. And on the Ticker Talker, or was it Instagram? One of the two. Let me pull this one down. Dr. Candace Matthews is a community. That's right. That's right. Jackie Harris. Ain't no honor among thieves. Ain't nobody feeling sorry for nobody over here. We're not feeling sorry. I'm just telling you how it happened. Excuse me. So Dr. Candace Matthews is a community activist and a friend of Lynn Price. And she went to the hearing today. And it was very interesting. I'm going to share her commentary with y'all. And she talked about how today's hearing was bond for him. They did not give him up. They arrested him last Friday, the 25th. He's been in there without a bond. Initially, he had a public defender. I believe now he is a private attorney. And Dr. Matthews said, despite all the flashiness, all the Rick Rosses and Kevin Harts and those that would be photoed with him, and wasn't nary celebrity in that courtroom. I don't know that his wife was even there. Here is Dr. Matthews breaking it down, what she's seen and what she's seen in the courtroom today.
Hey everybody, it's your good old buddy Dr. Matthews here. We just getting out for the hearing with Lynn Price, who's used to be the former co-owner of Turkey Leg Hut and also owner of Oyster Hut. It was a lot of things that was being said in this hearing. You had the federal prosecution was making claims in regards to drugs being sold out of the Turkey Leg Hut. Was saying weed was being sold. So they were saying that the person who snitched was telling all of this. And then also they saying that he's currently under a DPS investigation for fraud, for identity theft,
for sure,
and stolen things. They also, they had all this stuff. They even had the FBI agent that came over there and was saying this stuff. The FBI agent have been watching him for the longest, but they never could get anything. And so once the guy was one of the snitches, he got caught with how many kilos?
12,000.
12 kilos of fentanyl.
Hold on, 12,000 grams is 12 kilos. So I told y'all. I pulled these documents. You look at the dates. I pulled these documents Monday or something like that. I just ain't had no voice. I've been told y'all. I told y'all. Because see, let me clarify. I want to redeem the wife. I want to be very clear for the wife. People have been alleging that the wife snitched on him. No, she didn't. Let me tell you something. First of all, the way that man was knocking her between the washer and dryer and anything else, she wouldn't be the one to snitch. And furthermore, if she was going to tell, she would have been told it. He would have been arrested back when she had filed domestic violence charges against him way back and was fearful of him, or any of the other times. If you're going to snitch and tell on something like that, she would have been did that. Furthermore, let's just listen to Ray. That's amazing.
How many pills? 50,000 pills. And so, of course, the feds went to him when he got caught in Mississippi. And that's when he started telling everybody. So, and another thing I noticed, we didn't see no celebrities. We didn't see no politicians. We didn't see none of the people in there. We just seen that boy family.
The insurance man.
And the executive insurance guy that was in there that was speaking on his behalf.
Pause. Let me say this. So I was trying to understand with the videos that I showed at the beginning why they were taking his cars and stuff. Because I was like, usually when there's civil asset forfeiture, the charge needs to be drug dealing because the claim is you're making money from drugs, which then permits them to seize anything you bought with drug money. But this is an arson charge. So I'm like, how are y'all taking this man's cars if this is arson? Because let me tell you something. What I love about the law, even though it's the law, you need to abide by it. So just because someone's committed arson doesn't mean you can take their truck. That doesn't make sense to me. What it is that because the bar owner had to make an insurance claim, they're going to use the civil asset forfeiture to then make him have to give up the assets to reimburse the insurance company, because if he hadn't blown that sucker up, the insurance company wouldn't have lost what they lost. But it was also, I have to give it to you, Lynn, you are a very good criminal. You are very good at what you do, sir, because of the fact that you had the entire Texas Department of Insurance on your back. When millions are paid out on an insurance claim, the insurance company literally has retired detectives. They have an entire investigation league because they don't want to have to pay that money. And the fact that they couldn't even piece it together, they couldn't even get you, you got a gift, sir. Let's just find a way to use it for good next time.
About what he does in the community. So let me just say this, y'all. Y'all got to be careful who you call your friends. And then you got to be careful.
She's talking about the hearing today for his bail.
You do, because at the end of the day, we don't know if he's going to get a bond yet. Because one, the judge ended by saying that she has to chew on it. So they'll know something this evening. So with that being said, what really got me was that the federal prosecutor made this statement. The federal prosecutor said about all the stuff that he supposedly, all these allegations that he's supposed to have done, he turned around and ended it by saying the turkey legs have come home to roost. I was out of there. You could have bought me 2 pennies. I was done. So we just gonna stand by and see what's going on, man.
The turkey legs have come home to roost.
But he got some good lawyers, so we'll see how this can pan out. Y'all pray for his family, y'all. This is messed up. All right.
Y'all, they said the federal prosecutor done said in the courtroom, the turkey legs have come home to roost. Somebody said, was that Cornell with all that coughing? It might have been. Yes, someone asked. The arson happened in 2020. And the reason why this is such a big deal, y'all, is the arson happened in 2020. The statute of limitations is 5 years. He was 6 weeks away from walking. If they had not indicted him before June 12th of 2025, they could never, ever get him. He was cruising. He was cruising and smoozing. Now, let me see. I'm actually, hold on. Let me see what are we, Southern District of Texas. I'm going to check and see if the judge has made a ruling on his bond. Here we go. Let's see if the judge is giving old Lynn a bond. Because I'm going to drop the link in case anyone wants to call in. And you can call in it on this one while I'm looking for the bond. So y'all got you something to do. Here we go. You don't have to show your face. But while I'm pulling up to see if he's got a bond, that's the link you can call in. You can just call in with your legal questions, or call in with questions pertaining to this. As I don't know. We're going to see. Let's go. Let's get this indictment on up here. I'm hungry. Here we go. Let's see. Let me open this indictment. We need this. What in the hell? Okay, 424. Here we go. It's 424. What is it? CRS dash CR dash. What is this? 565. Let's see. If they don't give this man a bond, that's gonna be scary. Here we go. Lindell Leroy Price. He's number 1. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the date filed. Oh, they've been on them. They've been on that bottom. This was filed, meaning with the grand jury, etc., November 1st of last year. They've been on that bottom. Oh, yeah. Scheduling order as to him, motion filing, responses. Oh. Please not, he pled. Oh, we got a little update. Hold on. It says temporary detention continued. The court will take the matter of detention under advisement and gave the appearances, blah, blah, blah. And now there's a scheduling order. It says motion filings due by the 16th. Responses. Oh, they moving fast with this case. Hold up. Which motions? All motions will be filed. Oh, they not playing with him. They want all motions in this case filed by May 16th. Then it says responses by the 27th. Well, y'all not going to get to do nothing fun for Memorial Weekend. Hate to be the lawyer on this case. And then proposed voir dire June 13th, 2025. This case is set for jury selection. Am I reading this right? They are not playing with him. They think he's a kingpin. They think he's a kingpin, y'all. So this case is set for jury selection June 23rd of this summer. Oh, I would love to be on that jury. It said at least 5 business days before. The court will not consider any papers filed, but late and Child. This thing is supposed to go to trial June 23rd. Who do they think he is? Did he had more time than that? Oh my goodness. That must mean they feel like he's so dangerous that they could not give more of a warning. I ain't never seen no stuff like this before. That is so weird. That's weird. Hold on, I'm going to go on back. That is so strange. Hold on. That was weird. And then it says the arraignment. It says his arrest. Oh, he got a court-appointed lawyer. Oh, that guy's pretty good. Shadukwe Igbonu. I don't know his name. Egbunu. The arrest warrant was issued. It says, let me do the timeline. It says this case against him was filed November 1st of 2024. Then it went to the grand jury and then got indicted. It says the arrest warrant was issued 4/10 of 2025, executed on the 25th. Boy, they kept all this. Yeah, they scared of him. They are scared. They think he's going to bop somebody on the head. Oh, yeah. So I don't know, they may not give him a bail. They may be like, look, you need to sit up. The fact that they swooped this man up so close to the trial date, I ain't never seen nothing like this. And not only is he accused of this, oddly enough, he's also accused. So the arson charges are pertaining to both blowing up the bar, and then he also set fire to a baby blue 1975 Chevy Nova. I don't know whose car was that, but he lit somebody's Chevy Nova on fire. He got mad at him. Now, I had heard someone allege that his wife had a baby blue Chevy Nova, and that it may have been her car that he done lit up. Let me know in the comments if you know. It was one of these papers that I was reading. Let me see if I can get it and put it up on the screen. There is an amendment in the Texas Constitution that you are guaranteed bail. You are guaranteed. Well, it's not quite true, but I know where you're going with that. There are exceptions, like if they feel he'll tamper with witnesses, that he'll try and unalive one of the co-conspirators or the so-called snitches. Child. But yes, he also blew up. I'm going to find that document. He's alleged to have Also blown up. Let me get the arson. It was weird because it was like Barre 5015, but then a blue Chevy, no, a 1975 Chevy Nova. I was like, that sounds real nice. That sounds so nice. But I was trying to find out. Yeah, I was trying to find out, like, whose Chevy Nova is this? Because I know he's not going to light his own Chevy Nova on fire. I believe I was trying to figure out, is it either owned by the bar owner 5015 or perhaps by his estranged wife? I don't know. But yeah, so Johnny Lee, whatever we want to call him, John, his cousin, who was a co-conspirator, was caught trafficking drugs between Mississippi and Alabama. He was caught with enough to be facing life in prison and a minimum of 10 years. But by sharing whatever information that he shared after giving his Miranda rights, they completely dismissed the drug charges for which he was facing life and told him, most you'll see here is 5 years. 5 years. That's the most. I think he got 3, actually. I believe he was sentenced to 3. And of course, they're going to, the time he's been sitting in jail will count through it. But this was the key here that made me think it was good old Johnny Boy, is the DEA agent stated that the sheriff's office, they transported Price and Barre, who Price, this is the cousin Price, was found to be trafficking drugs with. Price was the driver, Barre was the passenger. They took both of them to Harrison County Sheriff's Office in the Narcotics Division, where Price was advised of his rights, given Miranda warnings, which he acknowledged and waived, agreeing to questioning. And quote, in a subsequent interview, Price denied any knowledge of the pills, but related that his passenger, Barre, would take responsibility for the possession of any pills. In other words, what Johnny Boy not about to do is go to jail. He was in there saying whatever needed to be said, so he didn't have to go to jail. So he told them people that it was his passenger Barry's drugs and that Barre would take responsibility. And when they said, Barre, you gonna take responsibility? Barre said, I want a lawyer, because Barre had some sense. Barre had sense. Barre had some sense. So anyway, y'all, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you. This is another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? Drop some comments below to let me know what other topics you want me to cover. And don't forget, I got a new text app. Text me at 323-689-5683. I am going to be rolling out a free summer webinar for those who think, I think I might want to go to law school. We're going to talk about the real deal about law school. Love y'all. Talk to you later. Bye. Your legal bestie, Attorney Simone.